Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Troy Clayton, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Group Captain Randall McCutcheon. We warmly welcome the family of Lance Corporal William Williams, whose story will be told shortly. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Club Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family and visitors to the memorial. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. Thank you. If able, you may be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Lance Corporal William Williams. William Williams was born on the 3rd of June 1888 in Warracknabeal, Victoria. Known as Bill, he was one of 10 children born to a local iron moulder, William Williams Sr., and his wife, Clara. William received his education at the local state school before gaining employment as a labourer in the region. On the 15th of May 1912, he married Charlotte Nile. The couple welcomed their first child, Alice, in November the following year. When war broke out in 1914, Williams was among the first in his local region to enlist, joining the Australian Imperial Force on the 23rd of November 1914. He was assigned to reinforcements of the 8th Light Horse Regiment and began a short period of training in Australia. He embarked for active service from Melbourne in February the following year, travelling on board the troop ship Pera. Trooper Williams arrived in Egypt in March 1915 and continued training with his unit. As light horse regiments were initially considered unsuitable for operations on Gallipoli, Williams did not reach the peninsula until June, when he and his comrades were deployed without their horses. On Gallipoli, Williams' unit was attached to the New Zealand and Australian Division and spent the first months of trench life defending and establishing the Anzac front line. In August 1915, Williams' unit was involved in the light horses' disastrous attack on the Neck, suffering more than 230 casualties. With the failure of the Allied August offensive, the stalemate on the Gallipoli Peninsula remained unbroken, and the 8th Light Horse continued acting in a defensive capacity. In October, Williams was evacuated after an accident with a bomb gun left him with a minor wound to his right hand. After receiving treatment in Malta, he was sent to England. In November 1915, his wife gave birth to their second child, a son named Leonard Alfred. In December 1915, while Williams was still in hospital, the British abandoned the Gallipoli campaign and began evacuating units from the peninsula. When Williams returned to his unit in June of 1916, he joined his comrades in Egypt, where they had become part of the newly formed Anzac Mounted Division. Williams and his unit were involved in driving Turkish forces back across the desert after the Battle of Romani in August. The enemy's retreat halted on the Palestine frontier in December, with the Turks having developed strongholds at Magdaba and Rafah. Williams' unit helped capture the village of Magdaba on the 23rd of December. Success at Rafah in early January 1917 allowed Allied forces to push through into Palestine, expelling the Turks from the Sinai. After being promoted to Lance Corporal in January, Williams' next clash with the enemy came during the second attempt to capture the Turkish stronghold of Gaza in April 1917. An earlier attack on the city had failed after attacking infantry, and mounted troops were ordered to withdraw while on the cusp of victory. By the time Williams and his comrades advanced on the city 3 weeks later, the Turks had enhanced and extended their defences, making this attempt at capturing Gaza even more difficult than the first. Their frontal assault on Gaza was supported by tanks, artillery, armoured cars, and gas shells, most of which proved useless on the battlefield. British infantry units attacked the city directly, while mounted units attacked to the east. As Williams' unit reached the Turkish redoubts on the right flank, they came under heavy fire from machine gun positions. Armoured cars only served to draw further fire on the advancing troops, causing multiple casualties. By the end of the day, having made no significant gains, Allied units were forced to withdraw, suffering 6,500 casualties. Among the dead was Lance Corporal Williams, whose body could not be recovered from the battlefield. His family later paid tribute to him in a memorial notice placed in Melbourne's Argus newspaper. His sun had set while it was yet day, our brave Anzac hero. Lance Corporal Williams was 28 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour to my right, amongst almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Lance Corporal William Williams, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We'll remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub of Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director and staff, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support of the Memorial's development project. And we wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.